Hi there guys, my name's Elliot. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Elliot Talks F1. Gonna start off this YouTube channel with a 2020 season prediction video. We're just over a week away from it. 8 days from free practice one in Austria from when I record this. And I think it'd be a good time to do a prediction video to just kick off the channel, let you guys know how I think the season's gonna go. And then we'll go into some different content in next week, and then week after that, maybe 2 videos a week, hopefully. So, coming in, we'll just jump straight into this. Coming in 20th, I don't have Nicholas Latifi. I have Romain Grosjean. I think this is his last season in F1, and I don't think Grosjean's necessarily a bad driver. We've seen him have podiums in the past, but I don't know. I just kind of get the feeling that he's probably mentally checked out of the sport, and it's probably I don't know, actually. Maybe not the same with Vettel. I think Grosjean maybe just be out of the sport because we've seen how he is in the past years with the crashes and that, and probably what the pressure gets to him. But we'll have to see. And I think last season in the sport, definitely last season with Haas at least. I could maybe see him going to Renault if they were desperate, if they didn't get an Alonso, and if I think their other option probably be Guan Yu Zhou from Formula 2, but if he doesn't get the super license points even, then probably going to go with Grosjean because they've got the French connection. They'd have that all French team. I think it would probably be good for PR, but other than that, that's the only reason I could see him staying in the sport past this year. Now, coming at 19th, I have Nicholas Latifi. I don't think he's as bad as everyone probably rates him. I mean, okay, he's not necessarily had the greatest junior career, but Alex Albon didn't necessarily have the greatest junior career. We saw, obviously, through circumstance, he got promoted up to Toro Rosso very last minute. He's actually not won a single seater championship since he's started racing there. So we saw him get promoted up to Toro Rosso, and then obviously due to the Gasly factory, got promoted up to Red Bull. But Nicholas Latifi, nowhere near as strong a junior career as Albon, but I think he could possibly have potential. I mean, there's no point in writing someone off before the season even starts, so we'll see. But I don't necessarily see him maybe seeing him score a couple points, because we know that mistakes will probably be a big factor in allowing the lower teams to score points in these races where we have the limited season. But other than that, I don't know. I don't have necessarily high hopes for him, but hopefully he can build on how he is at the minute, and then he can become a better driver. Now, in 18th, I have George Russell. This was a mix between 18th, 17th, and 17th I have Kevin Magnussen. So honestly, between those two, it's very hard toss up. We know Williams' car isn't great, obviously, but we've seen what George Russell can do. I think last season he was the second driver in history to outqualify his teammate throughout every round, behind just after Fernando Alonso in 2018, where he outqualified Stoffel Vandoorne. Not 100% sure on that statistic. I think I remember seeing that somewhere. But I think Russell will probably score a couple points this year. I think he'll probably. I mean, we saw in Hungary, he got the car up to 16th, just nearly got out of Q1. I mean, the guy is a talent. I think that he'll probably get the move up to Mercedes this year, where we saw them saying to Bottas that we're not going to go for Vettel. I think that's more them saying, oh, we're not going to go for Vettel, but we're probably going to go to Russell. And I don't see Valtteri staying in that seat, probably due to the pressure of the Mercedes system. And we'll just go on and discuss this as I go. But yeah, I think that Russell's definitely got the talent to probably get 17th, but I have him 18th as more of a safe pick here. And like I said, 17th, K-Mag. He's an aggressive driver, we know that. He can definitely score the points when it comes to it. He's got podium. So it's hard. I think that if he has the car around him, K-Mag is an amazing driver. We've seen this before. We've seen him. He's not afraid to get his elbows out. Definitely, I'd say he's like sort of up there with Max in the sort of aggressiveness category. Maybe he doesn't have the skill, but it may not be that he doesn't have the skill. Maybe that he doesn't have a car comfortable to his driving style. But these drivers, the drivers that have the skill, get the car developed around them. So K-Mag coming in at 17th. In at 16th, we have Antonio Giovinazzi. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's going to come below Kimi, but I think this year is very sort of make or break for Kimi as well, because maybe due to this pandemic, Kimi's realised, oh, I want to be around my kids more, I want to be around my family. So maybe Kimi might just check out really early in the season, and then Kimi may just not be what we've seen him, not be that sort of really just in and out, consistent, super rigorous. Just on his day he can be amazing, but then we know that he has these times when if his head's not in the game, it's not in the game, and it's Kimi, and he's go off and do fucking snowmobiling or whatever. So yeah, in at 15th I have Daniel Kvyat. I I think Kvyat is a strong driver. I don't know. I feel like Red Bull probably rearing to get Yuri Vips in that car. If he performs quite well, but I don't know. If that is the case, then I could see Kvyat having another bust sort of season where he gets lets the pressure get to him. But I don't know. I think that on his day, Kvyat could be a world class driver. He's got a couple podiums for him. He's not got a win, but he's got those podiums in 2015, and we know that Red Bull were really pushing to have Max in the car in 2016. So I don't know. And I think that time at Ferrari, where he went off and was their sim driver, probably did him a lot of good to see how that Ferrari system worked and how it affects drivers. Because I have no doubt in thinking that probably the Ferrari system is a lot worse, and they just definitely we know what Ferrari like. So I think that maybe seeing how that works, he can reflect on it. And if you've listened to the Beyond the Grid podcast with him, he says that actually him and Helmut Marko didn't have an amicable split. They were very neutral. He was very understanding of their position. So maybe Kvyat has sorted his head game out and he can just absolutely come back strong. But we'll just have to see how the Red Bull, like AlphaTauri now, are feeling about wanting to promote a younger driver into that seat, because Kvyat's sort of getting on a bit. He obviously been through the system once, and maybe you could see him replacing one of the Haas drivers, but we'll have to see. And then in at 14th, I have Kimi, but it's obviously a very subjective one. Like I said, we'll have to see how he does. Given, I think post pandemic, he could either swing one of two ways. We could either see him stay in the sport another 3 or 4 years, maybe not, obviously depending on his form, or he may even, I could see him just calling it halfway through the season, honestly. And then I don't know if any of the Ferrari junior drivers have the super license points, but yeah, I could definitely see them trying to just call up another driver from F2, because I think he'll go one of the two ways, in that he'll either want to stay around for a lot longer and realize, oh no, this is what I want to do, or he'll just be like, this isn't for me. And then he, honestly, if that was the case, I could see him just calling it off after a couple races and just saying this and just being last in the championship, obviously. So then I'd be completely wrong. Coming in at 13th, I have Lance Stroll. I don't have an issue with Lance Stroll at all. I actually think the guy's a pretty decent driver. We've seen him. He's got the overtaking capacity. I don't. Obviously, Latifi's a pay driver as well. I mean, we've seen from Tom F1's video and Josh Ravel as well, the backing these guys have. Like, Latifi, his parents own Safanya, which is a massive food company in the world, and we just have to understand that, like, Lance Stroll. I don't obviously I don't think Latifi's going to have anywhere near success Stroll did in his rookie year, but Stroll in that year his rookie year got a podium. I mean, you can't, and he got a front row start at Monza, so we can't take those things away. Like, a podium is nothing to shy away from. I mean, I'm I my favorite driver is Alex Albon, and this guy doesn't have a podium in his rookie season. He got promoted to Red Bull, a top three team. I've seen 2016 Williams was very good. They were fourth best on the grid, so it's hard to say. I don't think Stroll's as bad as everyone makes out to be. Obviously there's a pay driver factor, but you look at James Hunt, pay driver. This guy won a world championship. Niki Lauda, pay driver, won 3 world championships. You're not necessarily bad because you pay money to be in the sport. You just may not necessarily have the recognition, and people may look down on you for this factor. So I think that Stroll, if he gets his qualifying in check, I think Stroll could easily break into the top 10 every season he's in this sport. And we know I think Aston Martin signed the contract with Stroll for the next season, for 2021. Obviously, because his father owns Aston Martin now. But I think that now Aston Martin have said they're going into F1, that board will not want to be seeing them in fourth or fifth place. Aston Martin is a huge worldwide brand like Ferrari, like Mercedes. They'll want to be at the front, so I don't see them necessarily keeping Stroll forever. But I hope that Vettel goes there in 2022 for the ground effect era cars, but we'll have to see. So coming at 12th, I've put Esteban Ocon. This one's quite a hard one. It was between Ocon and Gasly, but I think that Gasly, where he's been in the sport consistently, yeah, he's had the knock from the Red Bull days, but he got the podium. He came second in Brazil. He did amazing there. And yeah, I think Ocon, where he's been out of the sport, obviously we saw them testing at Austria, which was Renault's weakest track last year. So hopefully that might give them an advantage in that first double header, and then we'll see. But I don't know. I think Ocon, it might take him a bit of time to get back, and I could see him having depending on how their car is, I could see him having a few clashes with Checo again. Pardon me. For trying to stick it to him. So that's a hard one. But I definitely don't see Ocon outscoring Ricciardo at all. I don't rate Ocon as much as most people do. I think Ocon is probably a very solid. He'll probably get race wins if he gets promoted up to the Mercedes. But I see Russell going to there first. Probably, I think Russell's a much bigger talent. I could see Ocon getting race wins, but I definitely can't see him winning a championship. I don't see what necessarily other people see in him. Whereas we've seen Russell, he's taken that Williams. He's nearly got out Q1 last year when Kubica could never get it out of P20. I mean, obviously Kubica scored the point in Germany, but I don't know. I see that one lap pace in Hungary, and I just sort of watching that lap. It's just just wow. Like, this guy's doing this with a Williams, and then Kubica is just. Kubica is a race winner as well. We have to remember. Obviously, after the accident, you know. But yeah, I definitely see Ocon and Gasly. I think 11th and 12th, they're probably swappable. But yeah, so Gasly 11th, very decent driver, very good driver. I mean, you wouldn't get promoted to Red Bull without being a good driver, but I don't think he was ready for it. So maybe we'll see. I don't know how the season's going to fare for Albon, but maybe Red Bull could put Gasly back in the car if it doesn't go as great as they want with Albon, because I genuinely think that Red Bull can win the constructors this year, possibly the drivers, but we'll have to see. So yeah, I think depending on how Gasly does this year, he could be up going back to that Red Bull seat. But we've seen how difficult that Red Bull car is to drive from last year with Gasly. So yeah, I see. Yeah, Gasly coming in 11th, probably because I don't see any of the drivers in the midfield team which we have left are Ricciardo, Norris, Perez, and Sainz. I don't see him necessarily being better than any of those in the AlphaTauri. Yeah, I don't really know where to put Gasly on this list because it's hard to tell with the AlphaTauri, because Gasly is obviously very at home with that team, and how they build the car and how it is limited in certain areas, and it is definitely sort of playing to his strengths. So then that's factors. So either I think Gasly could either do extremely well, or I don't know, if there's the pressure on him to maybe go back up to Red Bull, which is I think what he wants being in that system. He could sort of get fiated again. Like, just it's a hard one with sort of those two because they've been through the system once and been demoted. So I think the AlphaTauri boys, it's hard to know where they will place. Anyway, going on to number 10, I've put Danny Rick. I think he can outdrive his car very well. Definitely with the Renault, we saw him do very well last year. But yeah, I don't think he's going to necessarily do better than any of the two McLaren drivers or Checo this year, because we saw in practice it wasn't the fastest. It wasn't necessarily the fastest. Probably sixth fastest, I think it was. Going from memory, obviously we saw testing a long time ago. Looked at the figures just before recording this, but I've gone blank. So yeah, Danny Rick, we know he's going to McLaren next year and Sainz is going to Ferrari, so I think he's probably very eager to prove that he will be able to perform and outperform his car, because I think if he goes to McLaren and he performs below Norris, obviously it will be Norris's team for 3 years at that point, so obviously Danny Rick will come in, be the team leader, but I think the team will be around Norris at that point. So if he goes in and underperforms with Norris, I think I think the writing's probably on the wall for Danny's career at that point. So he'll have to be performing this year to then carry on that form into 2021, where we know that McLaren are limited with their development because they have to change their gearbox and their chassis to mount the engine. So, and they're not allowed to improve any performance on that using the token system. So hopefully Ricciardo can make that transition smoothly. But yeah, going into this year, I think Ricciardo is just going to crack the top 10. And then in ninth, I have Lando Norris. It was these last three. It was a very big toss up between them. I think the last three in the midfield, that is, that Norris he definitely has the pace to be a top 10 driver in and out every weekend, but I don't know. There's just something about I love Lando as a personality, and I think he could do it. There's possibility that this guy could. It's a small one. I think Lando maybe could win a championship. I don't think he'd necessarily. It would have to be. I think it'd have to be a weak year for him to win a championship. There'd have to be sort of a lot of like mechanical issues. But I think Lando's a consistent driver, and we saw that his first few races in 2019, he wasn't eager to get his elbows out and fight the people. But then by the end, this guy was battling. We saw in Spa, this guy got his elbows out with a Mercedes, in lap one. So Austria. Sorry, not Spa. This guy was going elbow to elbow with Lewis Hamilton, so he's not afraid to fight the best. He obviously, like all these drivers, the young bloods that are coming through, they give them the respect, but they're not afraid. So I think Lando possibly could go on to very good things, but in 2020, I don't know. I don't see him outperforming Checo or Sainz. Just because I don't know. I think that there are times when he may sort of not push enough. I don't know. There's just some feeling I get about Lando where there are times when I see him and he could be world class, and then there are other times where I think, what, sort of we're watching like Giovinazzi sort of level talent, but it's hard with Norris because there are moments where I think night and day with him. Not that I'm taking away from Giovinazzi there, I just don't necessarily think he's obviously the best driver. And coming in at 8th, I've put Sergio Perez. We saw the car was amazing in testing, obviously being modelled off of that Mercedes, which is probably, well, not probably, a very strong car to model yours off of. But I don't see him outperforming Sainz or the Ferraris. I know that obviously people are saying that the car's probably quicker than Ferraris. I don't see Checo being quicker than Leclerc or Vettel, and I don't see the McLaren being quicker than them. We know that Ferrari's probably taking a step back this year as well, but anyway, going back to Perez, I think that this guy's shown that he has class. I don't know why he's not. Well, we know why he didn't get given a Ferrari drive, because he decided to leave the Sauber team to go to McLaren. Didn't work out. So you know that in 2013, that Checo probably should have stayed at Sauber now, and he would have got that Ferrari drive and been alongside Vettel more than likely. And maybe if he hadn't performed there, that maybe we would have seen Jules in the team. But obviously this is all sort of very circumstantial. But yeah, there's definitely reasons why he never got picked up into a top team, because severed the Ferrari ties, so Ferrari never really going to go back there. And McLaren, he didn't prove himself against Button, so it's hard to say what he was going to do there. So yeah, up in 7th, I've put Carlos Sainz. I don't really need to say much as to why I think he will come in 7th this year. I think this guy's really sort of coming alive in McLaren. I hope that if it doesn't go well Ferrari, he probably gets a seat back at McLaren, because I could see that if Danny Ric does well in Ferrari, he may, and then Red Bull do well, and then with the ground effect cars, I could see him going back there to fight Max once he's got his confidence back. But yeah, I think Sainz is on it. I think Sainz was the top driver of last year, and yeah, the guy's honestly world class, but he doesn't get obviously he doesn't get the TV time. No one sees what he does. We saw that pass on Checo into turn one in Brazil. I mean, I don't see many drivers other than maybe like Hamilton, and Prime Vettel maybe making that. Who else make it? Maybe Fernando back in the day and Schumi, but that he sent that from probably over 100 meters back and made that corner perfectly. Sent it up the inside of turn one in Brazil, and undoubtedly was just amazing in that race to go from P20 to P3 in a McLaren in 2019. Like, I don't know what more of a performance there is to say to show how good Sainz's year was. So, breaking into top three teams now, probably where it's going to get a bit juicy. In at P6, because of probably the pressure issues, I have Valtteri Bottas. Not Alex Albon, like most people probably think he'll come in P6. I think Red Bull obviously have the second best car. I think Bottas really has the pressure on him to be either second or win this year behind Hamilton, because I think if he doesn't, obviously that his time's up at Mercedes. I don't see him being able to recover a career at that team. And yeah, I think that he would be an outside pick for Renault, or he could be the main pick if Renault don't go with Fernando. But I hope Renault go with the show for that. Anyway, so coming at fifth, I have Charles Leclerc. Probably another controversial pick that I put in fifth. I don't know. We've seen how bad the Ferrari was. Not bad. Obviously, it's still a top three car potentially. We'll have to see how the Racing Point is on race pace, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's now Charles's team to run. I don't know if he's ready for that. We saw him come in and obviously put his elbows out in race 2 with Ferrari last year, but I don't think he's ready to be fully leading the team forward, and I think that pressure's going to show this year. In at fourth, I have Alex Albon. I don't know. Alex is my favourite driver. He came in the sport from watching the the F1 YouTube videos from just day one. I thought the guy was hilarious. I fell in love with the guy. Like, he's funny. He's got a personality to him. He's very down to earth. He's very humble. But I don't necessarily think he'll break into that top three this year. I think he has the potential to. If you look at his junior career, he's not a bad driver at all. I mean, in his current career, he never came out third in his competitions. In his open wheel career, it started off sort of a bit rocky. If you've seen Drive to Survive, you know why. But there was a lot of pressure on the guy at a young age, and he came through to F1. He never thought he'd get a career here, and then I think he's just smashed out of the park from what he can do in his first year. So I think the guy's got a lot of potential. In third place, so top three. This is probably a very, 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 very controversial decision, but I've got Lewis Hamilton coming in third this year, and I don't know. I just feel like the shorter season. We know Hamilton takes a couple races to get up and running. He doesn't have the time to do that now. So I don't know. I just don't see him winning, and I think if he doesn't win this year, he might retire. Because I don't know if the drive would still be there. We know he has the fashion, and we know he's really interested in the music. So maybe he goes off and does other things for a couple of years, comes back, and still could smash it out of the park. Because I think Lewis is the best driver that's ever touched a modern F1 car. Probably Jim Clark in the past, but yeah. Where are you going? I've not even written a 1 or 2 here. This is just going to be sort of off the cuff. Who's going between first and second in 2020? So I'm going to put in second place. I'm a Red Bull fan, but I think Max might come second. I don't know what it is. I think he could see this as his first real opportunity to win the championship. So he's probably going to push really hard. I think he could have a 2018-esque season with those opening races where he's too keen to get the points early. It's hard to say, but yeah, I think that the pressure might get to Max, because we've seen that before. Obviously, we saw those, what was it, 6 races, 2018, opening 6 races where he had an incident every race. But, and so in first, that leaves Sebastian Vettel. I don't know. I think that now he knows the deal's off with Ferrari. That would have been a lot later in the season now, if it was a normal season. But I think Seb can see that. Obviously, the writing's on the wall for him. He doesn't have a drive for next year, so go out with a bang. And he's not going to pay attention to team orders. We saw that in Sochi. That I think he probably respects Charles, but obviously, Will Buxton says that every driver has what he calls an inner bastard, and the ability to just say, that's not the right decision for me. I'm not going to be making the points here where I need to be. So I know I think I could see Seb winning this with maybe some very spectacular drives. We know obviously he's been having a bit of a spin every now and then in the past few years, but yeah, I could see him doing it. I don't know what it is, but I can see that. There's just something in my head that can't get the image of it's Max or Seb. I think it's a coin flip between those two. And, tell you what, if it's not Max, Seb, or Lewis that win this title, I wouldn't be able to give you a name who would. I don't think Charles would, because I don't think he can cope with the pressure of leading the team. But yeah. Anyways, I'd like to thank you all for watching my first video. I hope you have a lovely day. This has been filmed on the hottest day of the year in the UK so far. I'm extremely hot. Keep safe during the pandemic, and hope to see you back around my channel soon. Bye bye.